Okay, so my name is Jack. And last week, I officially graduated from college, which has presented a unique problem. What do I do now? You see, it's only now that I've realized that from the time you're 4 to about the time you turn 22, so between preschool right the way through college, you're constantly following someone else's instructions, somebody else's schedule. And now, I found myself having really woken up, as for the first time in 18 years, I don't have any obligations, no schedule to adhere to, and no deadlines to meet. I can do whatever I want with myself now. And that last thing, I can do whatever I want with myself now, took about a day to really sink in. And as someone who has entrepreneurial goals, this is the biggest relief I've felt in a long time. I decided not to waste any time. The first thing I did was write down financial, business, and personal brand goals for the remainder of 2025. I'm not gonna lie, these goals are very daunting. In fact, most of them scare the shit out of me. And I'd be lying if I said I knew exactly how I'm gonna hit them. I don't even have a sound idea for a business right now, but what I do have is a camera, a microphone, some tube lights, and an editing software. So I decided the first thing I would do was start working on my personal brand. For all of you curious cats out there, the school that I just graduated from is Full Sail University. I joined them in September of 2022, and a few weeks ago I walked away with a bachelor's in digital cinematography. So needless to say, I know how to make a video or two. But there's a problem. Even though I've been posting content consistently since January, I've seen very little results so far. This tells me that it's probably going to take a little more than just posting consistently to get 10, 50, or even 100k followers. In addition to that, I'm also having to fight discouragement, as posting consistently for 3 months and not really seeing many results is pretty discouraging. But also, that's how I ended up quitting on all of my YouTube channels. I would post for a few months, saw that nothing was happening, and give up. I'm determined to make this one different. So, while I continue my search for the correct balance between quality and quantity, there's another thing I realized after graduating which I think is far more important. Oh, that's bright. The second thing I realized is time. Just shocker, I know, right? Oh, time exists, that's a thing. I'm not saying I only just discovered time. What I am saying is that since I graduated, I feel as though time has slowed down. Now, on the surface at least. That might not sound like the most earth-shattering sentence anyone has ever said, but at the same time, everybody around me at this time is saying that time is speeding up. I was having a conversation with my dad a handful of weeks ago while out at dinner, and he was talking to me just about how he feels like time is just flying by. And when I got home from dinner that night, I spent some time to think about that. And it made me realize that all of the people who were telling me that they feel like time is speeding up are living lives where they're constantly trying to race the clock. To stick with the example of my dad, he works at the Intel in our city. And his job, and at least part of his job, is to be responsible for equipment manifestos. This Intel gets a lot of shipments of equipment from other Intel factories, or indeed other plants from other parts of the world, and is also simultaneously shipping stuff out to those plants. And he's responsible for sort of planning ahead and making sure that everything involved with the shipments and deliveries of those equipment happens on time and happens on schedule, that sort of thing. But because of that, and he told me this, because of that, he's constantly thinking 3, 4, or even 5 months into the future, because they have to plan out that far. So even though it's currently April, he's already thinking about August and September. My sister, for example, another person who told me that she feels like time is speeding up. She is a stylist, and she has her own clientele at a local salon. But her clients will book appointments with her 4 to 5 weeks into the future. So she's also thinking 4 to 5 weeks into the future. That's about mid-May right now at the time of shooting this. And while I was in school, while I was in college, especially because it was an accelerated degree program, I also was thinking weeks and months ahead. Because we had projects to plan for, we had things that we needed to be thinking about that were coming up in a few months. And the school was constantly reminding us, hey, this thing is coming up in 3 months, you better be prepared for it. And these kinds of lifestyles where we're constantly thinking about what's to come distracts us from the present. Distracts us from what's happening right now and enjoying what's happening right now. You know, we're so focused on what is to be that we completely forget to just be present. You know, everyone is always rushing around, everyone's always racing the clock, everyone is always thinking about the next thing, that we always fail to stop and really think about what's happening right now. And because we're constantly thinking that way, because we're constantly thinking about what's to come and things that we need to be prepared for, by the time the end of the week shows up, it feels like it just blinked by, because you don't remember anything that happened during the week, because you were so focused on the next week or the next month. If your mind is not focused on what's happening right now, it's not going to remember what's happening right now. And therefore these minutes and hours that you spend thinking may as well have not even happened. And I think that's why so many people feel like time is speeding up. Because a lot of people have jobs and careers that increasingly push them to focus about the future, to think ahead, rather than to think about what's going on in the present moment. That being said, it was only now, after graduating, when I no longer had any deadlines to worry about, that I realized just how distracted I was from the present moment, that I realized just how distracted I was by the future. Who knew that the future could be so distracting? And I also know that this is no way that I want to be living. I also saw another example on social media the other day. It was a video that was talking about, remember how like when we were kids and we would think, oh man, I can't wait to be an adult because then I can do whatever I want, or man, I can't wait to be grown up so that I can finally reach that top shelf. And even now as adults, we still think this way. If we have a vacation, for example, that's planned 6 months into the future, we'll be like, oh man, I'm so excited for this thing that's happening 6 months from now. Or even if there's something that's happening tomorrow that's really exciting, like, man, I can't wait for tomorrow to be here. And the video said that thinking this way is wishing to be a day older. It's wishing to be a week older or months older. But the thing is, this is as young as you will ever be. So if you're constantly wanting to be a day, a week, or months older, you're not really truly being in the present moment and being present. I pretty much realized these two things simultaneously, and upon realizing them, I made the decision that I don't want to be living that way anymore. A personal goal of mine is to savor every hour, every minute, even every second, if I can, of every single day. Even while making this video, for example, and I'm staring into the lens of my camera, I'm thinking to myself just how interestingly shaped it is, with all the different size circles that make up the lens and the glass that's reflecting the light in the background, as well as the camera lens text that shows me the size of lens that it is. Just little things like that, thinking about what's around me and savoring exactly what I'm looking at. That probably sounds really frickin' ridiculous, but actually, it's pretty nice. So I guess what this video really is just a reminder to be present. You know, we don't need to be constantly rushing around, man. Even if you do live a life where you have a schedule that you need to adhere to, and that's fine if you do. But at the very least, don't let it be the only thing that you think about. Like, I'm wondering if while you were watching this, you even noticed the faint green light that's in the background. That isn't some weird special effect that I added in post. No, that's actually a green light that I have set up back there. That's casting that hue on my wall. And I feel like there's a good chance that there are a lot of people watching this video who may not have even noticed that until I pointed it out, because they were so worried about what's to come. They're so worried about what's happening in a couple of weeks or a couple of months that they're not truly being present. So, even if you yourself don't have the time to make a bunch of content or go start a business, which is what I'm doing, at the very least, just be present. Be more present. You don't even have to be present all the time, man. Just be more present than you already are. Because time is a valuable thing, and we only get so much of it. So, savor it as much as you possibly can. Alright, man? Look, I really hope you enjoyed this video. I really enjoyed making it, I'll be honest. It's been a lot of fun. And, I'll talk to you real soon. Thank you so much for tuning in. Take care, and good night.